Animatortor, welcome to this tutorial on how to sculpt a spider. If you'd like to know how to make a spider that looks a little bit like this one, then stay tuned because this video is going to teach you how. A few years ago I sculpted this spider with the intention of scaring my sister, and I can tell you it worked. I placed it on the floor and she genuinely thought it was real. So I'm going to show you in this video how to sculpt a spider, and I'm going to recreate this spider. I'm going to do it slightly differently, which I'll explain later in the video, with the intention of showing you how to animate it in the next video. So for this spider I'm using a type of clay called Uro. It's similar to Fimo and it's an oven bake clay. So that means that when you've sculpted your creature you can put it in the oven and it will harden. But there's still enough flexibility that you can bend something like a spider's leg, which has got a thin layer of this clay on it. The first thing I'm doing is measuring out a piece of armature wire. This is aluminium wire. I'll put a link in the description of where you can buy this. It's very lightweight and flexible wire, and I'm just measuring across the length of a pair of legs. And we need 4 pairs of legs because spiders have 8. So I'm just using that first piece of wire to cut 3 extra pieces the same length. And then we want to bend those into a kind of M shape. So the way that a spider, the leg goes up, the body goes down, the leg goes up. And the first thing to do is to connect all these legs together. So we've now got 4 sets of legs, and I'm going to use some grey clay for the central part of the spider for his body. And you basically just want to soften the clay. This Uro is quite brittle and you need to warm it in your hands for quite a while, but it will soften up and become pliable. You want to stretch this out into a thin strip, and then you want to wrap this around the first piece of wire, so the first pair of legs. You then want to position the second piece of wire across the first piece at a 90-degree angle and wrap the clay around to hold that in place. This is the strongest way of putting the legs together, and it will still ensure flexibility. So you want to push this clay all around, and now I'm putting on the third pair of legs. So I'm just going to put this down the middle. Now we've got 6 legs. We want to put on the final pair of legs. So I'm going to put this across the space that's left, so from front to back, and just wrap that clay around to keep it secure. Now you may find that the legs have clumped together a little bit, so you just want to space them out again. Just wiggle a bit of space between them. Don't worry about neatness at the moment. I've given my spider an abdomen, so I'm just rolling out a abdomen shaped piece and skewering that onto another bit of wire, and I'm going to poke that into the main body so we've got a little bit of a bum on there, and it's a little bit more realistic. And then I'm just going to use one of my Amtech tools. Again, link in the description if you would like to purchase these. They're literally just sculpting tools, and just push in between the sets of legs to get that clay a little bit more compact and make a more neat and rounded body shape. Again, making sure that your leg spacings are even, and now we're going to start coating our legs with clay. Now, as I said earlier, this spider is going to look a little bit different. I'm using green clay for some legs, and I'll be using orange for other legs later on. And this is for the next video to show you how to animate a spider walk cycle. It's for ease of explanation. Hopefully it will help you learn better, faster, easier. So basically, to cover the legs in clay, what you want to do is you want to roll out a flat piece of clay, wrap it around the leg, and then I pinch it underneath. So I pinch the clay together, and then if there's any excess, just cut it away, and then smooth it down with my fingers to try and neaten it down. And the third pair of legs are also going to be green, so alternate pairs are one colour. And then we're going to go in with some orange clay for the second pair of legs. Again, wrapping it around, squeezing it together on the underneath, and making sure there's no air bubbles in there, doing it as tight as you can, and then any excess clay you can just cut away with the scissors. And then To neaten it up, literally just smooth it down with your thumb or your finger. If there's excess clay still and you want to make the legs narrower, try and tease that clay down towards the end of the leg, and then you can remove it by pinching it off or cutting it. As thin as you can get as possible is ideal, because it allows more flexibility when the clay is being cooked for the leg to still bend. So I'm just working on the other leg opposite. So we're doing the second pair of legs and just cutting away that excess clay there. And then the final pair of legs are also orange, so they match the second pair of legs. Fourth and second pair of legs are orange. This is quite a fiddly sculpt to do, because the wire tends to move about. The legs might move slightly from their original position, so you want to just constantly be aware of that. Try and keep the legs as evenly spaced as you can and make it as neat as you can. But I mean, spiders, they're not like, especially a tarantula, it's quite a chunky little thing, so don't worry if there's a little bit of unevenness in your legs. This is a very unusual looking tarantula with multicoloured legs and a grey body, but hopefully it will help you learn how to animate it in the next video. And you can use the principles from this video to sculpt your own spider in just one colour, like my original brown one, which looks much more terrifying. Seriously, if I place this orange and green one anywhere, it will not frighten anyone, even me, and I'm a complete arachnophobe. But that brown one, yeah, that looks real. Especially if you don't remember that you've left it somewhere and it catches the corner of your eye. It's a bit freaky. So now I'm just flattening down a piece of grey clay, which I'm going to place on the top to neaten up the body, because the tops of those legs, they look a little bit messy, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I do want this to look kind of neat. So I'm just making a body shaped flat piece, and I'm going to use the scissors to just make that a little bit neater. I'm going to push that down on top and then use my sculpting tool to just push it down between the legs and make it nice and neat. I find these tools really useful for doing fine details. Like, it's so easy to just correct a multitude of problems with a very simple tool. And like I said, I also heavily recommend just a normal household pin, because you can achieve a lot with just a pin. Now I'm just doing exactly the same for the underneath of the spider's body. Got a bit of grey flat clay there. Just going to push that down and use the pin this time to push that into all of the gaps and make it as neat as I can. Just re-wiggling those legs slightly, trying to get the distance between them a little bit more equal, a little bit more even. I think that looks all right. So on my original sculpture, you can see that I gave it some fangs at the front. So I'm just going to make some little fangs just out of clay. I'm not going to put wire in them. I'm not going to animate them. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to, but no, I'm just going to leave them static. So they're just going to cook as solid clay. We're just going to worry about animating the legs in the next video. It's very simple. Just make some very thin sausage shapes and then just use your tool to push that against the body. You can smooth it with your finger if you need to, and yeah, just make sure that it's pushed on nice and firm, and that should be enough to keep it there. So it looks pretty good. So now to finish off my spider, I'm just going to add a little bit of detail. I'm going to use my pin and I'm just going to pull it across the body and the abdomen and make some little marks, a little bit fur-like, bit of texture. Just adds a finishing touch, I think. So doing that on the back of the spider and then on its belly as well. I hope that this helps you construct your own animatable spider out of clay. You can, as I said before, use the Uro clay, which I'm using in this video, or something similar like Fimo, just an oven bake clay, and as thin a layer as you can around the legs with aluminium animation wire. All links will be in the description. I'll give you a little preview now of how this spider can look animated, and if you would like to learn how to animate a spider, then watch my next video. So once you've finished your spider sculpt, you just want to put that on a baking tray and stick it in the oven for the required amount of time. My clay is 120 degrees Celsius fan assisted for 20 to 25 minutes. Your clay might be different. If you're using a different clay, make sure you read the instructions on the packet. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you like learning how to make a little spider and you'd like to know how to animate this spider walking, then please tune in for my next video on how to animate a spider walking. If you want to be notified of future tutorials that I make, then also subscribe to my channel. If you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. I hope you have fun scaring your friends with these. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again soon.